We are tracking some breaking news this hour. Canadian National Railway has handed out roughly 450 temporary layoff notices to its employees. The affected staff work in CN's Eastern Canada Operations Department. The layoffs are all tied to the ongoing pipeline protests and blockades that have crippled rail service across the country. And Richard Southern joins me now for our nightly business chat. That's a big story.
We heard Carolyn Mulroney, the transportation minister, talking about that just within the hour or so at Queen's Park, saying she hopes there's going to be a peaceful resolution. Obviously, she said it would be inappropriate for the government to direct the OPP to do anything. So she didn't really have much more to add, but obviously, big issue when it comes to the Canadian economy.
Issue, definitely, and something we'll be watching. You especially will be watching very closely. Now we're going to turn to the coronavirus, and a lot of companies are hurting after that, or during that, but one is doing well.
First off, the ones who are hurting, and this is like the biggest company in the world, Apple came out today and said, listen, we're not going to make as much money as we were expecting this year, sort of telegraphing that to investors. Because of the coronavirus, factories that make the iPhones in China have been shut down for weeks, right? And of course, the Chinese consumer becoming more and more important to Apple. They're not buying iPhones. They're home. They can't get out. So all this really affecting its business. There's been speculation, Cynthia, that Apple may be coming out with a cheaper iPhone in the spring. It's not clear how this situation might affect them. The stock was down more than 1% today.
But the coronavirus, like one industry is actually seeing a boost in business, and I'm going to guess, and I might be wrong. It's something in the masks or gloves.
Certainly, we've seen the mask companies sell out, but in this case, it's the private jet industry.
Oh, really?
Yeah. People are stranded in China.
Right.
And they want to get home. Companies want to get their personnel out of China. It's also the case, too, if you're flying elsewhere. You don't want to be maybe stuck in a jet with hundreds of people.
Well, look at that cruise ship. Everybody's terrified to be in that situation.
Goes through it like wildfire. So the private jet industry, they say they've seen a huge uptick, a 90% uptick in business in some cases.
Wow.
You may think it's for the rich, and in many cases it is. However, they say a mid-sized jet that can sit about 10 people costs about $6,000 per hour to operate. So it's not completely out of the realm of possibilities for some individuals and for some companies. Those
who would pay anything to be not exposed to it, I'm sure.
100%. A lot of people have been on the Chinese New Year and they can't get home, and so there's a lot of business now for these jet companies.
Oh, interesting. Okay. And to really switch gears now, the Boy Scouts of America has filed for bankruptcy.
Yeah, this is a real tough one. What they say could be one of the biggest Chapter 11 filings in U.S. history taking place today. And this follows the sex abuse lawsuits filed by thousands of former Scouts in the United States, Cynthia.
So devastating for the people who have filed those lawsuits as well, because everything's in limbo.
Everything's in limbo. Now, the Boy Scouts in the States say they're going to continue their operations throughout the Chapter 11 filing. It's called Scouts Canada here in Canada. It's not affected by it. But, the bottom line is here, kids are not taking part in this as much as they used to. We've seen a big drop-off in attendance in the United States. They started allowing girls in, and that hasn't really helped. There's been a big trail-off. So it's a tough situation, Cynthia, and it's certainly affecting them financially.
All right, and before we go, you have another look at gas prices, Richard.
No change for gas tonight. I'm back just after 6:30. We're looking at some more fun stories, including a jetpack. They strapped a jetpack to a guy, and he went up to 6,000 feet. We're going to show you the crazy video, Cynthia, speaking of airplanes, coming up at 6:30.
6,000 feet. Okay, that sounds a little startling. Thanks very much. We'll see you at 6:30. Richard.